Above a darkness sealed for more than 6 centuries, a white stone lid lay broken. Its fragments had not been raised for ceremony, nor for spectacle. They had fractured during the long, vulnerable life of a cathedral. But through that narrow breach, beneath the paving of Moscow's Archangel Cathedral, modern science encountered something history rarely permits it to meet so closely. The body of a medieval ruler, still resting where he had been laid. The man beneath the stone is strongly believed to be Grand Duke Dmitry Ivanovich of Moscow, remembered as Dmitry Donskoy. To later generations, he became a warrior prince, the victor of Kulikovo, an emblem of Moscow's rise. But a burial does not preserve emblems, it preserves a body. In 2026, emergency restoration work brought specialists to several princely sarcophagi beneath the cathedral floor. The ground had become unstable around the old burials. Near the southern wall lay a white stone tomb in the place tradition assigned to Dmitry, who died in 1389. The team did not lift the remains out or turn the grave into an excavation display. They examined what they could through the damaged lid, using non-destructive methods. And inside was a skeleton, substantially in place, still covered with rich, golden-colored textile. That surviving cloth is one of the quietest and most moving parts of the discovery. Fabric is fragile. It rots, fades, and vanishes long before stone does. We do not yet have a full public catalog of its fibers, weave, dyes, or any associated objects. So it would be careless to call it a royal robe or assign it a precise ceremonial meaning, but its survival still speaks clearly. This was a burial of exceptional rank. In the 14th century, rich cloth did not merely dress the dead. It helped present them for eternity, within the sacred order of prayer, dynasty, and memory. And the bones preserve a second record. Chronicles give us names, victories, alliances, and dates. The grave offers a different kind of testimony. A man, male, perhaps between 35 and 45 years old, unusually tall for his time at roughly 5 feet 9 or 10, and powerfully built. His shoulders and frame appear broad. His chest and arms show signs of strain. One knee had begun to suffer early arthrosis. There is, too, a healed injury on the frontal bone of the skull. It is tempting to make that wound cinematic, to place it in the dust and confusion of a famous battle, to name the weapon, the attacker, or the moment that caused it. But the evidence does not permit that. A healed mark can suggest a life exposed to violence. It cannot tell us whose hand struck the blow, or whether it was received at Kulikovo, on campaign, in an accident, or years before Dmitry ever became a legend. That restraint matters, because the identification is compelling precisely where it is careful. Dmitry Donskoy died at 39. The individual in the tomb closely fits that age, as well as the expected sex and the recorded dynastic location. The sarcophagus stands in Moscow's princely necropolis. The textiles indicate great status, and the strong body, worn knee, and signs of physical stress all suit the life of a grand prince who rode, traveled, wore armor, and lived in a world where power was repeatedly tested by war. Church and institutional announcements have called the identification confirmed. It is fairer to say the evidence is strong and context-led. For absolute personal certainty, scholars would still want full methods published, transparent genetic comparisons with securely identified relatives, and peer-reviewed results. Paleogenetic work has been mentioned, but detailed comparisons have not yet been publicly set out. That is not a weakness in the story. It is the story. In 14th century Moscow, Dmitry ruled a principality growing in ambition, but still hemmed in by rivals and the immense shadow of the Golden Horde. Russian princes competed for precedence. Tribute, warfare, marriage, religious authority, and proximity to the Khan all shaped political survival. Moscow was not yet the imperial city it would later become. It was a hard northern center of timber, white stone, winter roads, church bells, and calculated ambition. In 1380, Dmitry's forces fought Mamai at Kulikovo. The victory became one of the great episodes in Moscow's historical imagination, yet it did not instantly free the Rus lands from Horde authority. History rarely turns as cleanly as later memory prefers. For those who lived through it, Kulikovo was not an inevitable national dawn. It was a gamble made by men who could not see the centuries ahead. Its meaning grew over time through chronicles, prayers, rulers, monuments, and the political needs of later generations. When Dmitry died 9 years later, his burial became part of that process. Imagine the cathedral dim with candlelight and incense. Mourners move through the hush carrying cloth, perhaps hearing prayers for the dead rise beneath the vaults. Outside, Moscow's white stone catches the thin winter light. Inside, a ruler is lowered among his forebears, close to the seat of power, and inside the city's holiest political landscape. A princely burial was not simply an ending. It was a statement about continuity. The body was placed where descendants, clergy, and subjects could remember a line of rule. Prayer linked the living to the dead. Sacred ground guarded legitimacy. White stone made authority appear permanent. Beneath it, the Grand Prince's physical remains became part of Moscow's claim to a future. Yet permanence is never absolute. The lid was damaged. Cathedral alterations, including 19th-century work, may have contributed to its fracture. The grave was therefore not a perfectly sealed chamber, untouched since 1389, but it appears to have remained largely undisturbed. Bone and textile survived substantially where they belonged, while the modern team left the remains in place. That distance between survival and certainty is where this tomb becomes most human. We know that this man was broad-framed. We know he had endured physical strain. We know that a blow to the head had healed, leaving its trace long after pain had passed. We know he was laid down in costly cloth beneath a stone monument built to outlast a lifetime. But we cannot recover the voice that spoke beneath a helmet, the private fears behind political decisions, or the exact thought that crossed his mind before battle. Archaeology can bring us close. It cannot abolish the silence of the dead. And perhaps it should not. For centuries, Dmitry Donskoy has stood in history as a victor, a Grand Duke, and a pillar of Moscow's political memory. The reopened sarcophagus does not diminish that legacy. It gives it weight. It reminds us that the figure in the chronicle had knees that wore down, shoulders that carried strain, a skull that healed, and a life that ended at 39. History remembers rulers and monuments. Archaeology remembers that they were mortal. If you'd like more journeys into the lives hidden beneath history's grandest legends, subscribe and join me for the next one.